Right, we are live.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Well, welcome back to another Marketing Mastery Talk Show. So tonight we have got Beck Power. She is the queen of content marketing. So Brian, roll that tape. Let's get straight into it. We're already late.
Oh, no, we put your big face first. No. Right, there we go. That's better. Let's get the guest front and center where we can grill her, make her really uncomfortable. And
yes, my favorite.
So, guys, obviously, first off, sorry we're late. It's for some people that are probably expecting us an hour and 9 minutes ago. Obviously, because Beck's commitments, obviously, she's kindly fitted us in at 9:30. And then Ian got really, really excited that he's talking to a New Zealander. So that took 9 minutes to get over. So I do apologize, guys. But we do have Beck Power, the social media queen. She knows content. She knows repurposing. She will tell you exactly how to do it and how to make your life 10 times easier, but getting your content and your ratings up. So, Beck, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your journey to get to this point. Why social media? Like, how did you get into it?
Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy journey. I guess everyone's got their version, but mine led me around the world. I left New Zealand in 2013 or 14. I never actually know which year it was. And was traveling around. I decided in New Zealand to start an SEO company with a friend of mine in 2012. And that kind of taught me how to do websites and things like that. And I heard my first podcast. I first read 4 Hour Workweek. And then I was like, I'm going to go to Thailand. I'm going to do this thing. And it's really been this just crazy journey of hitting it big and being really broke and hitting it big and being really broke and dealing with all the, normal digital nomad travel issues. But one thing that I learned in I have a really sort of wide knowledge of this online space. And one thing that kind of brought everything together or everything had in common was content. And so now, working in content is just the best. I love it so much because I can work with a ton of different businesses still without necessarily committing to one certain type of business, which I like a shiny object. So it's really cool to work in content now.
Fantastic. So what would you say is the number one part of content creation? What would be that number one thing that you just enjoy? You wake up and you just can't wait to jump into it.
Yeah, I think I'm an ideas person. So I just love trying to come up with a new way to say what I say. Oftentimes people get really frustrated with marketing, and it's because they're saying the same thing over and over in the same way, and people aren't paying attention. And for me, I just love thinking, okay, how could I explain this concept in a different way? Using a video, using a different type of video, using a testimonial. I've got a list of 42 different types of content just in this little content matrix that I've got, and I love slotting an idea into each of those and seeing how it could work.
Fantastic. So I guess because attention is the main thing, right? Because look, we are bombarded. How many is it, Brian? Millions of messages a day or something like that. I don't pay attention to anything. I try and but how do you break through? How do you get the attention? Like, what is it that makes one post or one piece of content stand out? What is it that makes it attention grabbing? If you can nail it down to one thing.
Yeah, can I nail it down to one thing? There's definitely a few things, but I would say speaking directly to the person and their problem or their pain. That's where a lot of humor comes from. I use humor a lot in memes and stuff like that. And the thing that always causes people to laugh is it's so relatable, right? It speaks to how they feel. I always feel like memes are the best because it's one image, and it's usually a really crappy image with crappy text. But it can make people go, oh my God, that is exactly how I feel. And that's what makes content shareable, is when they have that feeling. yeah, that's what I think.
Would that be the example that you had? I noticed on your profile earlier, like you got these photos where you're kind of like mimicking the models who are like all upside down or something.
Why did you find that?
It worked. I was like, what is this? And it made me look like this is kind of weird position to put yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's your technique, right?
Yeah, well, that particular thing, our Wi-Fi was down for half an hour in Bangkok a few years ago. And so we were like, what can we do? And we just decided to take pictures copying these ridiculous model images that were in strange positions, like around the house. But you're right. It's the type of like I love creating the type of content that makes people stop scrolling, because you're right. There's so many messages all day, every day. We're just bombarded by different stuff, and something that can make you stop scrolling is, really great, right? Like that means you're going to stop and have a look. And that for a business owner, if someone stops and has a look at your stuff, that's an impression, it's a view, it's a video view, or it's a click or whatever it ends up being. But that's what you want. That's what you need. And so you have to really continue to think about your content in different ways and what will make people stop and relate to that piece of content.
Would you say the current trend of three? So I have this little pet peeve, right, with the 3D.
There we go.
Right, it makes me feel drunk because you're scrolling through, and every single person. Apparently, it's because of the algorithm, and I've stopped too many times on 3D images. But I get inundated with people putting up 3D images, and I'm completely over it because it makes you feel like you're drunk or you're dizzy or something. So, what's your take on like fashionable or trending content? Do you follow the trends or do you set the trends?
Do I follow the trends or do I set the trends? I post stuff that's true to who I am. So I don't really, I would say, if anything, I don't really want to call myself a trendsetter, but like I look at what trends are happening and then I take on what works for me, because everything is, being authentic in your content is so important. I've tried for many years doing content that other people thought was cool, or like trying to jump on something, and it just never worked as well as I didn't come off as well as I wanted it to. And every time I've thought something was hilarious and shared it, with how I thought it was hilarious, or telling a story or something like that, it's always had way better traction than the stuff that didn't.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to be quiet now because I know Brian is dying to get in there.
No. Obviously, I'm just letting two Kiwis have a chat. Obviously, they've missed each other. It's took a while for them to actually meet another Kiwi. So no, more than happy. So for you to have your little moment, mate. Don't worry about it. It's cool. So obviously, around social media content, you're posting like different things, just trying to get someone to stop. Literally, that's the ultimate goal, practically, of the photo or the meme or the 3D photo that Ian absolutely hates. And clearly, it works on Ian because he stops quite a lot. So like that is the ultimate goal of the first thing, obviously, is the photo. And obviously by doing that, you're like very true to who you are. Obviously, you like to have a laugh, you like to mess around a little bit, you like to catch people's attention and sort of try and hit home straight away in that photo. Am I hearing that right? Yeah,
exactly.
What's the next thing you want them to do?
Well, so you want them to stop, and then you want them to think, like, so there's, I mean, I just use the word think, but there's like this moment, right, where you look at something. A lot of times we look at something nowadays and we just go, like our brain doesn't even register that it's happening. It's like when you do the 3D photo, you're like, no, 3D. Like you couldn't tell what it is or where it is. You're not thinking about what that person's doing, and if you want somebody to buy something, you have to, I call it bridging content. It's like you have to create a little bridge from their brain to your product. And it really is, I don't even really know how to describe this, what I mean, better than to say like it's painting a picture or creating a connection in their brain. And you do that by, talking about their problem or like really pressing on the pain that they have. As a business owner, we all solve problems, right? And as business owners. And so if you can create the type of content that shows someone their problem and shows how you fix it, then that's the type of content that they will really, it's like their brain, a part of their brain lights up and goes, oh, I like, almost like I recognize this, or it's not necessarily about buying anything yet. It's literally about like recognizing that problem exists.
I like that. The whole bridging from, and of course it goes from like Facebook or whatever into their profile funnel or on and then clicking, of course, onto their website or landing pages, etc. So that bridge, I really like that bridge concept. So in terms of like the businesses that you work with, do they just go, hey, can you just, Beck, I fully trust you, go ahead and do whatever you want? Or is there a lot of resistance?
That's a good question. It used to be that I was worried about, people who are unable to let go of their content, so I create content. I create content for people, but I don't really. And some people have trouble letting go because they don't want anyone else to be in charge of their stuff. If I send it back to them, then there's 27 fixes, you know what I mean? And that's really frustrating. And I don't want to do that in my business, is going back and forth, fixing little revisions and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a graphic designer, you know what I mean? So what I do now is we actually take their existing content that they've already created. It might be like a talk that they did last year in a conference, might be a webinar, it might be a video they made at home when they were on their phone. It might be a Zoom conference or a Zoom call or a training or something like that. And then we just chop it up into pieces. And we not just chop it up into pieces for video, we do audio, quotes, and summaries, like different types of like bridging content. Like I said, was its own category. We'll do engagement questions. We'll do value posts where we teach something, all these different types of content, because they're all really important. It's not just about crossing that bridge, because a lot of times someone sees your stuff 8 or 10 or 15 or 20 times before their brain is even ready to cross that bridge. So they might just need to see your face 12 times in their feed, and then suddenly you post something that they're like, oh, I need that. So it's really all about kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying different types of content in different ways for people. And that's why I get so frustrated, or not even frustrated, I just laugh and be like, oh, posting every single day, like once a day, that sounds like a lot. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's nothing. We're posting 6 times a day for some of my brands and some of my clients in all these different ways.
Wow, fantastic.
6 times a day. Okay, so how do you get that much content out of one thing, like out of one obviously person, for you to do 6 times a day? Because a lot of companies struggle to produce something that can generate content for like once a day. And then how do you sort of stagger it and rate the content that you're putting out in terms of performance?
So great question. So the types of content that I usually put out on a daily basis are things like a live video. I'm just using an example right now from a client that I'm doing. She's a real estate agent or a real estate investor, and teaches people how to do real estate deals. And so we're doing, like, in the morning, we'll put out a value post, which is usually like a micro video or a micro audio or a quote card or something that we've made. And then we will do like a longer post, maybe a story post. And she's filled out for me a ton of, like an avatar worksheet and why she got into real estate and her story and all these things. So I kind of know her now. So I don't write as her, but I can use some of her bits and pieces of story. So we do a story, we do a meme in the afternoon, we do an engagement post. What does your dream property look like? Show us a picture, that type of thing, where people can engage. And then we do a live video, and we'll do like a piece of bridging content, like a case study. Here's how much this house cost, and here's the taxes, and here's how much money we're getting from the deal, or something like that. Or here's a testimony of someone who worked with me. So all of those pieces of content, I struggle with people who, you said large businesses can't come up with a piece a day. If you're trying to make a perfect blog post, of course they're not going to do 12 of those a day. That's crazy. That's, insane. But if you're just doing a little clip of something and throwing it out there regularly so people can see you and interact with you, I feel like that's way more valuable. It's about getting stuff out there, not getting one perfect piece of content. Because honestly, one perfect piece of content is just going to go down, it goes into the black hole of social media and it's gone. And actually, I find that, if you don't mind me going on a little rant, I find that a lot with people who do, they said, oh, I've been on this podcast, right? This podcast I'm doing with you guys right now. I'll post it, after we're done. Hey, I was on this podcast. And most people just leave it there. They've spent like hours preparing, theoretically. They've been on the podcast. They spent time going back and forth, finding a time. They wrote their talking points out. They've given the links and things like that. And then they just do one post and it's gone. But what I think is cool is what I'll do. What's that? But what I'm going to do is I'll take this podcast that we're on right now and I'm going to send it to my team, and they're going to pull out 40 or 50 pieces of micro content of awesome things I've said in different ways, right? It's not like every individual thing, there's 40 different things I've said. There might be 10 zingers in this whole interview. I mean, listen, there's probably a lot more than that, but there might be 10 really great golden nuggets. And I'm going to chop those out and make videos, and then we'll turn those videos into audios, and then we'll turn those audios into, like, we'll pull some quotes out and put those on quote cards, and then we'll make some individual posts. So we'll transcribe the videos and put those as social posts. You know what I mean? So make a few memes out of them as well. So now we're talking about 50 or 60 pieces of content from this one interview, and I do one of these almost every day. So this is hundreds of pieces that we're talking about. Now I've lost track of where I was answering the question, but.
No, I think
it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Look at that. That's the thing, because, like, like for coaches and consultants, like, oh, Michael's back. Hey, Michael. Exactly. This is it, right? This is the purpose of the show, because this is golden nuggets you're just giving everyone right now. The bridging and dissecting the content that you're already creating into, just brilliant ideas. Now keep it coming. So
cool.
Before we go a little bit further, I want to sort of just go back a little bit and just, when was that moment in your business journey that you were like, I've hit the big time? Because in my research before this, like, you've been mentioned in some top, like, branded magazines in the States, or worldwide basically. But how did you get to that point? When was that moment I've made it, I've found my thing?
It's really funny because I've started a ton of different businesses. Like I said, we were doing SEO, then I was doing websites, and I was freelancing different stuff. I had an e-com business for a while, selling baby clothes, out of, drop shipping them from China. I had a travel product for a little bit. And every time there was a moment where it was like, oh, I've made it. This is it. And it was real. It's not like I've got millions of dollars now, or whatever that point is for people. But it really was, every single time that I've had a successful business, how I've known it is because of the response to my offer. And so I always think, like, an offer, this is not really part of this content discussion, but an offer is so important. And for me, even in this business, when I really felt that I made it, there's been a lot of times where I've been featured on things and all this stuff. But when people respond to an offer with, like, excitement, and you're selling 8 out of 10 sales calls, and it's like, holy crap, this thing is selling like gangbusters, which is right now what's happening with my 3-month content, like, done for you content offer. When you really hit the nail on the head and you can tell your client, like, what their problem is, or describe it better than they can, for me, I'm like, whoa, like, this is the big time, because it just means that you're ready to scale, right? You've got a product that people want. You now really have to spend time turning, like now I've got this great product, and all I'm doing all day is trying to come up with different ways to explain how great this offer is, and explain, like, show it, do different bridging content, find different, get testimonials, make some case studies from clients who have gone through our process, improve our systems, and even show how our systems work. This is a really, really cool piece of content, is documenting what you're doing inside your business. And I'll tell you why. It's the best kind of bridging, or it's not the best, it's one of the best kinds of bridging content, is when you go, okay, everybody, look at this onboarding form that I made. I've been working on this onboarding form today for our clients. Why don't you have a look? It's like a video, and I'm showing them, here's where you'd put your name if you're going to work with us, and here's where your email would go, and here's, you actually get to write, like, why you signed up with AMP90, which is my product, and what was so frustrating for you that you couldn't be bothered creating content every day. And, I'm going through this form, and this is the form that they would use to sign up. And so what they're doing, their brain is like, it's like magic, right? Their brain is going, okay, yeah, okay. And they're watching the video going through my onboarding form, so that when they do it, it's not a weird thing for them. They're not like, they're like, yeah, this makes sense. I've seen this before. And so creating that type of content, and thinking of new types like that, that I can help them to paint the picture of like getting them over the line to work with me. I just love coming up with that type of content. And again, I lost the track, but that's what I'm excited about.
I love it.
Someone has jumped in with a question. So obviously I don't know who this is, but I feel I have way too much content and get overwhelmed with it and do nothing. Would you advise using a VA/social person to help manage and split down the content?
Yeah, that's a really cool question. So I've had that exact thing happen to me where it's like, oh, I've got, probably 200 pieces of content being produced for me personally every month. We have several thousand pieces for our clients, but like just for me, a couple of hundred pieces at least. And it's like, what do you even do? Nothing. So what I did was, what you want to do is create some clarity, right, around what categories you want to put them into and when you want to post them. Because once you've organized them, and I have a spreadsheet that does this in my academy, you literally pop it in, and then suddenly you've got, oh, okay, I can divide these into which are testimonials. I'm going to put those in this category. Those are going to be on Wednesdays or whatever. And then I've got all of this other content. These are all pretty much teaching people stuff. So I'm going to put those every Monday, and every day at 9 a.m. I'm going to post one of these teaching people things. And so I would just organize it into these categories. I don't know if I've got time to go into them, but there's 6 or 7 main categories that you could put them in, or there's 2 if that's what you can handle. Like, you don't have to do all of them, but I would just take what you can manage, slot it into a calendar, and just say, okay, every Wednesday this is happening, every whatever this is happening. And yes, if you need a VA, get a VA. I have 5 people on my team. We do all of this. It's not like I do it by myself. Basically now I do nothing except for do these podcast interviews. So you don't need to feel like super overwhelmed with it. If you just pull out even 10 pieces and go, okay, for the next 10 days, I'm going to post one of these every day, and just put it into Buffer or whatever you use. And I always used to get a bit snobby and go, oh, well, I don't want to use Buffer because, apparently the reach doesn't work as well as if it's posted natively. But then I wasn't even posting anything at all. And it's better to post something than nothing. So if you can just get one thing out every day, that's awesome. If you want a system, I have one it's got 4 posts a day if you want to organize it that way. Or if you want a VA to do it, what I do best is get it organized and then have my VA manage putting it out into the world. And all I do is spend a few hours a month coming up with the topics and coming up with a few types of content that I want to do, and then I just put them into the calendar.
Nice. So obviously you're really hitting home here tonight, Beck. You're absolutely smashing it. So nice. This girl is on fire, and he does have a question as well. Do you do blog posts yourself, or do you recommend others doing some blogging?
I have a little hack for this, and I don't do them myself anymore, but my whole thing is not to reinvent the wheel, right? Everything I do comes from something else. So it's not like I rarely come up with really new content. Like this podcast is a new piece of content, but I've said all this stuff before. And so have you. If you're on a podcast, you're saying the same stuff you always say. So the hack that I use for blogging is to take a video that I've made, like a training, or a lot of times I'll do a 5-minute video with like 5 ways to get more views on Facebook or something like that. And then what I do is transcribe that. I go to otter.ai, or I use rev.com or something like that. And I will put my video into it, and it will spit out everything that was said. And it takes about 15 minutes to go through and just make sure that there's no weird spelling issues, or, take out some of the weird stuff that I've said, or if I'm talking to people on the live or something like that. And then suddenly it's a blog post. You organize, you make the 5 points bold, the headings bold, and you put a title. Boom, done. And you've done this whole thing in less time. And then now you've got 5 more videos you can make, because you can make a video on each of those 5 points. You can make another blog post on each of those 5 points. You can make quote cards. You can make audios. You can turn each one into a podcast episode. There's a ton of stuff you can do. You could make each of those 5 points into their own blog post. So again, I don't want to overwhelm or freak anyone out, but like there's an unlimited amount of content that you can create from what you already have. And I think a lot of times people worry about what are they going to create tomorrow. It's like, well, what did you create yesterday, and how can you use that to create something new?
Nice. Have you got a mic to drop anywhere, Beck? because what a bloody good idea with the transcribing into blogs. So whenever you feel fancy dropping that mic, just let me know.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Absolutely correct. Ian, have you got anything, mate, or is it just a jaw-dropping moment?
I'm, Brian and I always had this debate when we first got into business together, and we were like, Brian was always about, oh, you gotta do posting every day. But I was always like, nah, like, why would you want to? Like, what have I got to say? And of course, once you find your voice, right, like you're unstoppable, right? I think that's the problem with with anyone in this online space is like, once you got to get into your groove, and if you can't get into your groove, you should look at, hiring the services of experts like yourself, right? To give you you get like a 90-day academy, did you say?
We have a 90-day service. There's a few different levels, and then we also have a free academy that anyone can join and learn how to do this stuff for themselves too.
Awesome, because that's what sometimes people just need. They're like, yeah, I want to do this thing, but they just don't know where to start, right? So something like that could help them. But I think as your business grows, you realize that this is your key marketing in this online space. Like my history is in television and film. Hello. When was the last time you looked at the television? It was probably Netflix if you did, or maybe YouTube. Like, when was the last time you sat down and watched a commercial on TV? You probably haven't in years.
Yeah.
So those days are long gone, and I think you have to get with the times, people. You have to evolve. And I was always a little bit anti-social media. I was thinking about quitting social media until I met Brian. And then Brian introduced the whole idea of organic marketing, and it just opened up a whole world. Right. So do you find out with some of your clients, say a little bit more untech savvy, a little bit old school, they come to you like, I've heard of this thing called Facebook. I think I should use it in my business. How do you approach a client who is so new to this?
Most of my clients aren't super new to it. What they are is really busy. And they listen, I'm very rare. Most people aren't excited by content. I'm very excited about content. So most people just want to do what they do. For example, if they're a chiropractor, they want to see the next patient. If they're a coach, they want to just, coach people. They don't want to be creating all this different type of content. And even if they do create it, like they do a podcast interview or a talk or something like that, they don't want to have to do one of those every day in order to create content. They want somebody that's going to help them to I call it squeezing the juice, squeeze the juice out of their content much better than they have been, which is zero, right? They recorded a podcast 6 months ago and they forgot where it even is. They never shared it, or they shared it once and now it's gone. And it's like, you have so much, great stuff to say, and you've said it and you just need to keep saying it. And so they don't have to do that. I can pull all of the golden nuggets out of their content for them. My team is trained to do that. We've been working on this, just our workflow to do that for over a year. So yeah, they're really exhausted from trying to worry about, because it does take mental strain, right? There's a bandwidth that it takes, energetic bandwidth to worry. Am I supposed to be on Clubhouse? Am I supposed to be on TikTok? You know what I mean? I don't even know how. I haven't even posted anything on LinkedIn. I forgot LinkedIn existed for 4 months. Just calm down, because it's stressful having all that different stuff, and go, okay, what have I got now? What's my one platform that I should really focus on? Because realistically, you could get millions of dollars out of one platform. You don't need to be on any others. And I just give them the permission to stop worrying about that stuff and get back to what it is they love doing.
Fantastic. I think that's exactly because they didn't train to do social media marketing. They trained to be a chiropractor or a coach, or that's not their thing. And it isn't everyone's thing, but I think they can see the value in it. So I want to ask a question. I know Brian's wanting. I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah, I do have one. But go on. Age before beauty.
Paid content, paid ads versus organic marketing, social media marketing. What's your opinion on this?
Well, I had this conversation with someone in a group the other day, because they disagreed with me, because I was like, I don't understand why anyone's doing ads at all until they have made 10 grand a month in their organic marketing. why are you doing it? And then she like disagreed with me, but then I found out later it's because she was working with like e-com brands and stuff like that. If you're an e-com, for sure, run ads, do your thing, whatever. But if you're a coach or someone who's selling an info product or course, or you're a consultant or whatever, that's you and your face, like you've got to do organic content. You know, I make a lot of money every month just from my Facebook profile. Not my page, not my retargeting ads, not LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever trendy thing people are doing. I just add people as friends who are in my niche, and I talk to them with my content, and that's what makes me money. 90% of my money every month comes from my Facebook profile.
That does actually lead me into my question so beautifully. It was like you already written it down. So personal profile versus business profile. Obviously, we all prefer personal profile, but what's the hacks for both?
So people always ask me about that, the business pro. Should I be posting on my personal or my business or my group, et cetera, et cetera? Listen, no one gets anything out of their business page. It just doesn't happen. But the reason that you should use it is because it pixels people when they come to when they watch the content that's on there. It keeps them. If you don't know what pixeling is, it's like you get, I don't know, Facebook notices that you're there and keeps your detail, or your Facebook notices that you've watched something and keeps your details. Or I guess they notice that your clients are there, potential clients, and keeps their details, so that when you're running ads, now you have people, it's like, oh, remember all those people who watched this video before? Let's show those ads to them. And you're not then showing to all cold people, you're showing to people who are kind of familiar with you, which gets you more cash in the long run, more attention in the long run. So if you want to have more people watching your videos and stuff like that on your page, then you can share videos from your page to your Facebook profile or in your group or whatever, so that they can. Is this where your question was going? I feel like this is the biggest thing that I do, that I just share my Facebook page videos onto my profile, into my groups, and I pixel people with video views. So whoever's watched my videos in the last 3 or 6 months or whatever it is, that's who I will be able to retarget.
So you go from the business page to your personal profile, not the other way?
Are you saying that the other way would be sharing a post that you made on your personal profile?
Like copy and paste, because you can't share to your business page.
Yeah, no.
So it's like copy it from your personal profile and then put it onto your business. Or would you go business profile, share to you?
Well, so it depends. So I post everything like 5 times a day, different platforms. Everything is 9 a.m. or 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., blah, 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 around the clock. I'm posting on each platform at the same time. So there's no real need for me to share it. But for example, if I was going to do a podcast interview with you guys, which we should totally do, then I would put it on my page and I would share it from my page onto my profile. And that way, people would be pixeled watching this. This might not be something I would necessarily do on my profile, like it might be, but I would definitely have it on my page, and that way I could share it around, collecting people and pixeling people who would watch it, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, so you share it into different profiles, different groups, any group that sort of let you without having to get kicked out. And then obviously the more views you pick up, obviously that's obviously for the pixel, and then you can run your retarget and ads to people who've watched more than 30, 40 seconds of, or maybe a couple of minutes of video.
Exactly. And there's one more reason other than these 2 reasons, I would never put anything on my Facebook page. It's pointless. No one's ever going to see it. Facebook shows it to nobody. Unless you pay, then they will. But what I would do is put a post on my Facebook page, and I would try to get a ton of like social proof on there. So I would tag some friends. I would get some, maybe it would be a video or whatever, but I would get a bunch of likes and engagement and stuff happening on it. I would ask my friends to comment on it if no one was. And then I would so you can do a Facebook ad, a retargeting ad, or just a regular ad using a post for like an existing post. This might be going too much into the weeds, but you can do that. So you would say you're like creating an ad, and then it's like, what kind of ad do you want to create? And you go, I want to use this post as an ad. And then your post or your ad automatically has a ton of like comments and likes and stuff like that. So it's not one of those ads where it's like one lone heart that's from yourself because you're like, it's not one of those ads with nothing on it. It's already got stuff going on it. And so that's the other reason I'd use a Facebook page.
That's cool because obviously
two bonuses there. Two golden nuggets for business pages.
You want me to? I would.
No.
You've just given them.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, those were them. I don't have two more.
Yeah, and that's good because obviously that's something I've never considered. Because to be fair, obviously as an organic marketing coach, you do sort of go, just leave your business page until you're at 10K a month, like consistently, and then we'll start to scale the business and the offer with ads. Obviously, so I sort of like every now and again, what I say is like every now and again, just put out like your best piece that is on your personal page, and then just put it onto your business page, just so it looks it's still active. But
right, you don't want to go on there and have no one been on there for 8 months. Yeah,
but that's absolutely legendary. So I'm making notes.
Cool. I was going to add something to that. I forgot it was. Maybe it'll come back to me.
You what? Sorry.
I was going to add something to that, but I've lost my train of thought and come back to me.
Ian, any questions? I've just got a little bit of tech stuff. The email's finally landed.
You're going to put some people's comments in. I mean, I think so. You've actually clearly answered one of my questions, which was how do you drive leads to your business? You've clearly answered that. So why Facebook? I mean, is that specifically because of the content that you're creating for your clients? You mentioned TikTok, you mentioned Clubhouse or Club Treehouse, whatever it was that everyone was excited about, and I'm a little bit slow. And Brian's like, "You got to get on it. You got to get on it." By the time I got on it, I was like, "And now what?" And by that time, everyone has already said it's a scam or whatever it ends up being. So you don't seem to be, shall we say, getting sucked up with the trends. You're just sticking to what you know. You're sticking to where you're steadfast in. Is that the secret to your success? Sticking to one platform and just nailing it?
I think, for me it is. For me, it took me a long time to not get the shiny object syndrome. And that's been, sticking to one offer for 1 year with one audience, solving one problem. You know what I mean? Like these things, for me, that's been just amazing. And it's interesting that you mentioned those other platforms because I feel like a lot of people on other platforms, especially a Clubhouse or TikTok is a really great example. Because it's always, and not always, it's often the people on there who are not doing that well with their initial thing and they're like chasing it somewhere else. So they're like they're thinking that something else is going to be the answer, and it's just not. Like, if you're not doing well on your first platform, don't look for another like thing to solve the problem. You know what I mean? Like you just got to search for the one offer. It's like stupidly simple and it's really boring, and that's why people don't want to do it. That's why I didn't want to do it for like 8 years. I didn't want to commit to one business or one offer or one thing. But honestly, like that has been the key for me. Is I'm still on other platforms. Like I'm on Clubhouse, right? I'm hosting a Clubhouse thing on Friday, but it's not like that's my whole thing and I'm on there all day. I just decided it's a new platform. People seem to be making money with it. I'll give it a try once a week and I'll do it for like 6 weeks and see what happens. I'm not like ditching Facebook for that. And I think Facebook is the obvious, for me anyway, and for I think most coaches, everyone's on Facebook. As much as people like to say, oh, everyone's ditching Facebook. No, they're not. They might take a few days off, but they get FOMO because every person is on Facebook, or just about everybody's on Facebook, and you can make millions of dollars just from Facebook if you're a coach. And so I just, when people are getting like, oh, I'm going on TikTok, it's like, that's great. You might be able to do some like duet videos and get a few thousand followers, but like, that's just really taking time away from what you should be doing, which is growing your business and focusing.
For sure. Okay. So a lot of people say though, that Facebook is for the oldies. What do you think of that?
Listen, my audience is, they're not oldies. They're probably like at least 30s though. And if we're oldies, then that sucks. But like there's definitely, everyone's grandma's on Facebook. Fine. That's not my audience. My audience is people who want to grow their business. They're coaches. They're just be wherever your audience is. I'm not telling everyone to stay on Facebook because everyone's business is different. A lot of e-com businesses do really well on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever. A lot of, consultants do really well on LinkedIn. Sure, great. Take my advice with a grain of salt and pick one platform, because you can make millions of dollars from whatever the platform is. It doesn't have to be Facebook. Certainly, a lot of people don't like it, but for me, it works really, really, really well. And I think if I was to get on LinkedIn, I would also be like, this works really, really well. LinkedIn doesn't have a community aspect that Facebook does. Not all of my friends and stuff are on LinkedIn, but I could get a bunch of sales calls from it. LinkedIn is my kind of backup. So I do like one main thing and then like a backup platform. Some people think you need to be on like 15 different platforms. That's why they want to stress and focus on different things. And I think it's just distracting.
So focus on the one thing, the one platform where your audience is hanging out, and just go for it.
And one offer, yeah. Because I think,
yeah,
I really think that we distract ourselves with whatever means that we can, and whether that's like doing something around the house, or going on a different platform, or getting distracted with something else that's in the world, or even when you're working, you're like, maybe I'll just think of a different. Maybe like. People wait for like referrals, right? I love watching people wait for referrals, because it's like you're just sitting there waiting for a referral. You're not creating content. You're not putting yourself out there. You've got to have your one offer that's like super killer, and you got to be creating content for it as much as possible, or repurposing content as much as possible. Because like, what else is there? I'm always like amazed. What else are you doing? You know what I mean? If you really like strip down all the stuff that we do all day, delivering the product and marketing the product are the two things that we're doing or should be doing. So if you're not delivering the product, then you should be marketing it. And marketing to me is content.
So just taking a step away from the public, well, the content creation. I love the skill truth bombs.
Thanks, Michael.
So like, most successful people in this online space, they have a set routine. Are you one of these people that wakes up at 3:30, does 2 hours of cardio and drinks 6 cups of water or whatever it is, and then, I don't know, whatever the latest trend is? Like, can you just like, because you mentioned various post times. I'm assuming that you mentioned before you're using software for that. So, but can you just step us through, like, what's the behind the scenes of a typical day? Because you've got 5 people working for you. You've got it made, shall we say? You've got to that point where you're comfortable. You've got your business well and truly on track. What's some of those secrets? What are some of those like lifestyle secrets that you used to get to this position?
Yeah, really, I think I spent, like I think I told you before this call, I spent 5 or 6 months at the beginning of coronavirus in Mexico, and I was there by myself. And I didn't really have anything to do. We were in quarantine. I was just kind of like in a house. And so I spent every day, I just tried to build my offer out more and better and figure out the workflow. I mean, coming up with 120, 150 pieces of content for a client in a 10-day period is not an easy thing to do. And it took us a long time, a lot of different people, a lot of different freelancers and services and software and stuff like that to figure it out. And I think, like I said before, it's been a really interesting process to keep on iterating the exact same thing over and over again. And you alluded to something earlier, Ian, which was like being in it for long enough. I feel like giving yourself a chance. I would have usually given up months ago, right? In a lot of my old businesses, it was like, if this doesn't work in 3 months, I'm out. But that never happened with this business, because I was obsessed with figuring out the best way to deliver this service. And now we've got this team that can like churn out. I mean, we could do 200 pieces of, if you gave us a video right now, we could do 200 pieces of content in less than a day. Like, we have a whole thing right now. So it's been really about like waking up and going, okay, how can I move the needle forward today? What do I have to do? Yeah, I've got to be around on Slack all day because there's always little fires to put out or whatever. Yeah, I've got to follow up with my leads. right, to move this thing forward and see if I can get on book any calls. Yeah, I've got to do the calls that are coming in and sell clients. And then how much time have I got to create a piece of content, show up for my audience, to put some energy into this thing, right? Do I have to do live video today? Do I have to, I send out emails every day. I write an email every day. It's my practice, and it takes 15 minutes and I send it out. And it's like a small story or something, today I walked past a bakery and they had these really great cakes and it reminded me of, whatever the thing is, I relate it back to content. And if I show up like that a little tiny bit every single day, that for me has been like the game changer, just to keep on moving forward and pushing the same offer to the same audience, solving the problem better. How can we make this product better? How can we make the workflow better? I just ordered these little like webcam covers without branding on it, so we can send those out when we sign somebody up, so they've got a little package in the mail. You know what I mean? Like, just making it better and better and better every single day and not giving up on the idea. That, I think, in itself would be a game changer if people started doing that.
Consistency, discipline, and just keep on following through. Be confident with what you've got, and then just going for it. Like, and modifying it as you go. So you're reacting to the audience as well, right? So if no one's buying, you got to change something. But if they are buying, what are they buying? Like, okay, you got your services, but then what is it that really gets people to keep coming back? Because I guess in your case, I guess now if you've got a client comes on, like you mentioned, a real estate person, like, do they typically go, okay, so if I sign up for you for like 1 month, will I be like super rich? Like, how much are you going to make me in 1 month? These are the questions I get too. It's like, how much money are you going to make me in 1 month? And I'm like, well, first of all, we're going to start. So how do you handle those sort of objections?
Well, content is interesting for ROI, right? Because like, Gary Vee always says, like, when he gets asked about the ROI of content, he's like, what is the ROI of your mother? People are like, it's like, it's difficult to say, but if someone texts you, right, and they join your list or they buy a product or whatever, like, there's very little way that you can know where they came from, unless they might say that they saw a video or something like that, but or they got a referral or whatever. But oftentimes they found you first on social media. And if you're showing up regularly on social media, at some point, someone's either going to like unfollow you or buy something from you. I mean, a lot of the time that's what's going to happen, or they just keep watching you and they get to know you, they're in your audience. But like, most times when someone buys something from you, they've come from social media at some point. And so I think it's just best to show up as much as you can. And there's no direct ROI from it, unless there's tracking softwares and stuff like that for analytics. But for mine, I just show up regularly all the time. And when I've shown up every single day, done a live, done an email, posted my memes, posted whatever posts I was making, like, that's when I made the most money, if I showed up every single day. And it's difficult, I suppose, if you tracked it over a year, like, how many days did you post this many times and how much money did you make? I'm sure there would be some correlation, but that's hard to say. And I just tell people, like, the value of brand awareness, to answer your question of how I tell people. I say the value of brand awareness is that your face and your voice are in front of your audience every single day, so that when you are going to post a promo, or you have something that's like for sale or whatever, they're not like, who's that guy again? They're like, oh yeah, this person, I see that person every single day. And if you're not it's the same with email lists. If you haven't posted anything for a year and you make a post, that's when you get your most unsubscribes, because people are like, who is this guy? But if you're posting every single day and you post something that's for sale, you get a ton of like email replies or purchases or clicks or whatever it is, because your open rate is really great.
Fantastic golden nuggets here. Go ahead, Brian.
Now, what I want to do is, obviously, because we have been on 50 minutes already, and obviously it's just been value after value. It's so amazing how quick an hour actually goes with our guests, because the value that they drop and how much our viewers absolutely love what's going on is incredible. So obviously I know it's about 50 minutes and I want to respect your time as well, Beck. So I'm going to start moving into basically how people can find you, what are you offering, that type of thing right now. So obviously you've just dropped 49 minutes worth of value. So
awesome.
people are going to absolutely love, obviously, especially their free membership, just to even start with. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So the AMP Content Academy, when I started out, I was just doing working with people as a service, but there's so many people who are asking me questions or weren't ready to work with us yet. And there's just a lot of information, you can tell I have a lot of things in my head, and I really love explaining them and getting them out there. And also somewhere that I put all my resources in one place. When people email you and they're like, oh, I lost that freebie that you sent. Can you send it again? And I'm like, oh, I got to look up your email and find your account and then send you the thing. I'm not doing that. So I just made one place where I put all my freebies. There's a tool in there where you can, you spend 10 minutes and it spits out 2,000 content ideas for you that I built. It's a little spreadsheet thing. And I put that in there. There's there's my ebook. There's all types of stuff in there. And you can jump in there for free. It's ampcontentacademy.com.
So that link is in the post, guys. I've already put that in there. That was the tech that I was doing before. So that link is in there. So that's a free academy where all your resources, everything that these guys obviously can get access to and help them out. Cool. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of your business, like in terms of your offer, how you can help people, who you help?
Sure. Yeah. So real quick, my ideal clients are usually coaches and consultants and people with, who want their face in front of people, more people, authors, speakers, that type of thing. And we do the content stuff like I've talked about throughout this interview. We do that for you. I don't write it. I just pull it from the stuff that you say. So if you want to contact me about that, you can just send me an email, beck@powercreative.me. And that's it. Super easy.
Fantastic. So where to next? What's the next big thing for you? I mean, you clearly just described how you're going to focus on the one offer, but surely in the back of your mind, you're a Kiwi girl, you got big dreams. What's next?
So I really love doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep running this business for, the next 5 years at least. I just every day want to wake up and make this product better. But, of course, there's the element of I really enjoy speaking, and I want to have a speaking business kind of motivation-y. I really want to speak from stages and things like that. Obviously, COVID put a damper on that this year. I do a lot of podcasts and talks and stuff like that virtually. But yeah, to build a speaking kind of motivation business would be really fun, I think. And also to help people. I think I really want to work those in together. So I really want to help people to create better content that makes a difference for people. I think, we all want to make the world a better place, hopefully. And I think how I can do that is by helping people to express their message better and to amplify their voice using social media content. So those things I think will be sort of hand in hand.
Wow. I'm getting goosebumps already. Wow. So just a quick one. So the digital divide, right? There's the people who have access to all these great things that we're talking about, and there's the people who don't. Is there a way that you feel that you could reach out to the people who perhaps don't have the best internet connections, or they don't have all the latest phones and they can just go live? How do you come across, first of all, do you have any clients like that who don't have the technology, or never really considered it, or their audience, their people, maybe they're dealing with even an older generation that aren't using computers or phones or whatever? How do you bridge that divide?
1950s,
What's that, sorry?
This ain't the 1950s, Even my granddad, who's like 80 odd, he's got a smartphone. Like, it's just one of those things, mate. Just because you try and fight it as much as you can, which, okay, fine. If you want to live under a rock, live under a rock. But, like,
I live on a rock.
Well, like, Beck's target audience, like Beck's people who she wants to deal with, and obviously by producing your content, you attract the people you want, you repel the people you don't. Obviously, if they haven't even got a phone, they can't even see Beck anyway, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah. What I was really meaning was, the kind of the charity aspect of it. There are, like, let's be honest, like with COVID, if you're a family who has a laptop and an iPhone and a tablet and all this, your kids could get educated. And there's a lot of places, even here in the Canary Islands in Spain, that children don't have access to that, and their access to that's what I mean by the digital divide. Like we were talking about, like longer term. Is that something that you were trying to address? You know, giving perhaps children the opportunity, because I live here in Spain, right, in the Canary Islands, and the difference between people who are successful working online from here and those who are not, really there's only one difference: access and English. So I clearly see this. It's a massive divide, and unfortunately, a lot of people here will never have those opportunities, even though it's a first world country. So, in your sort of longer term vision, do you think that that's something that you could address? That's a big question, I guess. But
well, I see what you're getting at, and I think for me, I'm not sure, but I do think that there's so many opportunities right now for people in situations like that. If you look at your average TikTok, or like, I don't know, YouTube videos sometimes, or different things that are available for people now, anyone with a smartphone can start. It doesn't necessarily have to be a business, but it can be a thing that you're passionate about, right? Like, or just documenting your day or stuff like that. Like, I watched a video yesterday of this little, I guess, a couple of Asian boys, and the one boy always cooks for his brother, and it's like they're really, really poor, and it shows them like going in and fishing and then cooking the fish and doing the stuff. And it's amazing. Like, I don't really know the background of that channel or whatever, but anybody can start. I mean, that has millions of views, by the way. Anyone can start documenting their life, or documenting, like, even I always start by writing lists. I'm a list person. So if you didn't know what to do, you don't have a business, you're not really, you don't have any financial means, you might still watch something like this, and you might go, okay, well, how am I supposed to start? I don't have a business. I don't know what I'm doing. But you still would write a list of, like, what are my strengths? What am I interested in? What can I document? What type of thing do I do every day that other people might find interesting? And record that. Use your phone to record it. Use your phone to make weird faces. People are doing all types of strange things on TikTok. And it gets attention. The thing is to be consistent with it. Give yourself a chance. No one ever starts anything off. And I know you guys will recognize as well, when we started off doing this online thing, we were putting out total crap. Everyone does it. And then eventually it gets better and it gets better, and you go, okay, actually, I think I know what I'm doing now, and I'm going to try this. Oh, that didn't work. And it's all an experiment anyway. So I think the key really, no matter what stage you're at of, being financially ready to start a business or whatever, like wherever you're at, it's important to just start something without even knowing what the outcome will be.
Fantastic. I like it. I can see that. I can see a very clear in your heart, because you're a Kiwi girl. I can see that you know where I'm coming from. Brian, he's from the UK. He doesn't know anything.
Enjoy your rock.
So I'm going to be quiet now, because I know Brian's going to start wrapping this show up, right?
Well, yeah, definitely. So, guys, obviously, if you have enjoyed it, obviously, let us know in the comments. I know there's been loads of comments. Sorry, I've not been able to show them all, but thank you very much for watching, guys. As I said, links are above already in the post description. So if you want to get hold of Beck, obviously, Power Creative Media is there, Amp Content Academy is in there, so you can get registered for the free academy, get all your resources. Again, obviously, I've dropped Beck's email if you want to reach out to her. She is also tagged in the post. So if you want to reach out to her, you've got both of those options now. And obviously, I've left the email there for the last 10 minutes. So there you go, guys. It's been an absolute fantastic show tonight. I've loved every minute of it. Beck, any closing words before we roll the video?
Just really grateful to be here, and thank you for having me.
Ian, do you want to say anything?
No, you're most welcome. I was so excited to meet another New Zealander in this online space. I thought I was the only one, but no, completely wrong. So that's awesome. We actually live really, really close, but we're so typical New Zealanders, right? We're so far away from home. We're on the other side of the world and some. So it's just so good to see another Kiwi out in the big world, just making a big splash. And I'm so proud that we've got a couple of New Zealanders here. I should have my New Zealand flag. If I had known, I would have worn my flag. Just
Next time.
Next time.
So before Ian starts fancy dressing, I think we definitely need to wrap this one up. So guys, thank you very much for coming in tonight, commenting, watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we will see you next week at the normal time. Bye-bye, guys.
See you later.